Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Comic Chop, a bi-weekly show. Sorry we missed last week's, but a bi-weekly show hosted by your friends from Slashers Podcast and Much Ado About Nerding, where we slice and dice our way down our local comic book aisles and review all horror nerd stuff in your faces. So today we have Lance and Joe, my two favesies, and we are going to be reviewing. Where'd it go? House of
Also
Slaughter.
Slaughter.
Mm-hmm.
Whoop, whoop.
The Butcher Baker Mark. Butcher's Mark.
Mm.
But before we get into the review, I want to ask you guys, is there anything I want to cover? Did y'all watch anything, see anything nerdy, yada, yada, yada?
What is that? Have you guys seen the trailer to that? It's a new movie, and I'm gonna bring it out because I feel super self conscious about this, Mikey. I'm sorry, but sorry about my audio, guys. Computer took a crap. I don't know. I'm on my phone right now, so experimenting with that. But there's one. It takes place during Y2K,
Yes.
and like the like technology takes over and makes like monster robots, and they start killing all these little kids.
Yeah,
Not
it's
little
like
kids,
a,
high school kids.
well, yeah,
But
teenagers. The
yeah,
appropriate age to kill kids in horror movies.
exactly.
Yeah, it's like the millennial version of Chopping Mall. The commercial's just 90s nostalgia, like
Yeah,
all the
100%.
songs and everything that they have in there. And then like in the back of my mind, I'm like, when they're filming this, do these kids actually know what they're looking at?
Do they know what a VCR is?
I know, or a pager, not that they had any, but and it's funny because technology from the 90s is a lot. If it was to become sentient, I feel it would be a lot scarier than technology today because we didn't worry about it being small and sleek. Things were like huge and like bulky and like that's what makes it scary. Well, as for me, I've been trying to avoid the comic book store because I have so many I haven't read yet. And I'm also
Mm.
like, I buy these comics and they take up all this space. And in my head, I'm like, just wait for the issue to come out, the big issue, like the collection, but then I can't. But
Mhm.
I did find, I forgot what it's called. It's called like It Came From Beneath or something like that. It
Mm.
looks really cool. It was the first issue. That's another thing is like, I have to make sure it's the first issue. I saw one that looked really cool. I want to get it, but they only had the second issue. They didn't have the first one. It was like Man Goat and the Bunny Man. Uh,
Man Goat and the Bunny Man.
it looked cool and it's like it looks super bloody and it's basically the Bunny Man doesn't really look anthropomorphic. It just looks like a huge killer Easter rabbit. But Goat Man is like fully like in jeans and a flannel with like a goat face and like I don't know if
Nice.
they're good or bad, but uh yeah, I'm that one I'm gonna have to wait for a collection or the first collection of them because I couldn't find the first one. I'm not about
Mhm.
to get into number two because, you know. And then lastly, I'm not wearing a hat today. No one's mentioned my haircut, so I guess we'll move on. But
Oh.
You're like this big on my. I'm on my phone, man.
oh, that's
So
true.
I'm gonna say I have an excuse.
Oh, Joe, by the way, just to show you why we're kind of doing this. This is something I was going to try to get Mikey to get. It's basically about a vampire, or not a vampire, but a werewolf detective and stuff like that. So it's pretty fucking cool, like very noir, kind of B movie type style.
Hmm.
He laughs because I say it wrong.
Because it's not narwhal, it's noir.
No, I know.
So, House of Slaughter. It's from Boom Studios. Are y'all familiar? Have we covered Boom Studios and what they've done before? What they're famous for? Boom Studios is the publisher that releases these, and they have ones such as they do like a Rocko's Modern Life one, Profane, Hunt for the Skinwalkers, Firefly. They have some Power Ranger type stuff, the Power Rangers Infinity that looks really cute. And they also I saw which we're going to talk about in a little bit is Something's Killing the Children. It's written by James Tinian IV and Tate Bromble. The artist is Weather Del Adera and Chris Sheehan. The colorist is Miguel Muerto. The letterer, which I don't know what that means, but it's And World Design. Does that mean the people that designed the letterboxes? The text?
Yeah, actually writing
Yeah.
them in. Yeah.
Huh. I thought it was just typed in on a computer. But yeah, so it is a spin-off story from Something's Killing the Children. Have y'all read Something is Killing the Children?
I
No.
have a little bit of it. That's yeah, I don't want to get into that because it's a whole.
Well, I do. So I
It's
originally
it's a whole different story going on. We can
just
always come
just
back to it.
a quick preface. I'm not going to go into what it's about
Okay.
much, but when Lance first showed me House of Slaughter, I was like, this art looks familiar, and like everything from this looks familiar. And I was reading about it, and I was like, oh, this is an extension of Something's Killing the Children. I've read the first whatever came in the first collection of the Something in the Children, and I wasn't a fan just because it sounds super cool and it sounds like, disturbing and whatnot, but it's more of like a action type thing. So I wasn't into it. So when Lance showed me this and he tried to sell it to me because you know, there's gay shit in it. I know.
He always makes it sound like somehow I'm trying to push him down a path that he
Well,
has
he's
not
like,
already walked.
we're in the store and he's like, yeah, it's pretty good. Look, and he like opens it and there's like two guys raw dogging in the forest. And I'm like, Lance, like, show me that later. But
Listen, folks, it's the only way to get him into these books. Sometimes, literally, I go like, you know what's interesting? Having self-included in these books, right? Look at that.
actually,
Bam.
this might be the first time we cover a story that actually has some sort of same-sex relationship without
Yeah.
me inserting my agenda into the story. And so,
So much better when I do it.
yeah. Based off of this first issue, I'm not sure how far if you guys have like kept reading more from it, but based off this, it's a little confusing for me and my simple-minded brain because it does time jumps where it's like now we're in here, now we're in here, now we're in here. But it's kind of like, did y'all ever watch The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina?
Yeah,
No, Joe.
I did.
No, but I
Well,
watched Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the far superior one.
I bring it up because there's a part where there's like a school that they go to for like magical kids or
Mhm.
whatever, and it's very cutthroat. And there's even kids like the twins, and I no, they're not twins; they're just called the sisters. But there's like the same characters and stuff, and so it just reminded me of that. But for more of a general type comparison, it's kind of like the X-Men kids at school.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Or
well,
Hogwarts.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Hogwarts, a little deadlier though.
No, this one's definitely way more overtly dangerous because like your professors are trying to kill you. Not just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Snape being weird trying to poison you, but like blatantly trying to kill you.
Yeah, it's very strange because it does, we focus on this guy named Aaron Slaughter, and they don't really say ages, but I'm guessing he's maybe like 16, 17. And I'm smiling because it's going to bring up my favorite quote later on. And then it goes into the future when I'm thinking they're probably like, well, because it says 15 years later, so I'm guessing maybe like
Yeah.
almost 30. And so it centers around Aaron Slaughter, which the House of Slaughter is kind of like, I don't know, how would you guys describe it? Like a collection of students, but within that school, each school has their own name. Like there's Slaughter, and then the one from Louisiana was
Mhm.
Butcher, but they're all like mass coded, like color coded.
And that's where I got more of like the Hogwarts type because they all have their
Yeah.
different houses and their different colors and they're very um xenophobic
Yeah.
against the other houses. So
Yeah. It's
like
not
again,
like,
overtly violent against each other. So
yeah,
yeah.
it's not like it's basically gangs with
Yeah.
handkerchiefs. We're focusing on the colors white and black, which I believe there's also red because they show a couple other students with different masks. But we focus on Aaron Slaughter, and he's kind of just like a little bit of an outcast because everybody's real tough. Everybody's kind of like natural born killer, and he's just kind of light in the loafers. And he's very Greenpeace. Um,
I love that you're the one that said that. Like,
it's fine.
I was like, all right.
Um,
It's amazing.
but the biggest thing is he gets a roommate named Jace Butcher, and Jace is on the opposing team, and they need to do these things called hunts, and they don't really describe what these things are, these hunts are. There's monsters out there that they say they have to go kill, but they don't really show them right away. And there's like a really cute stuffed owl in the beginning that I'm like, what is this owl doing? And it's talking to him. And like,
Okay, so out of curiosity, and maybe this is me just being older, did the owl look like anything from any commercial about a
yes,
certain candy?
the lollipop. How many licks does it take to,
Yeah,
Mr. Owl?
yeah.
I didn't make that connection. Now I'm looking. I'm frantically looking. Oh God, there it is.
You know which owl we're talking about? Mr. Owl.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the Tootsie Pop.
Yeah.
1, 2.
Oh, three. Yeah. If you probably are born after 1993, you may not know what we're talking about. Just YouTube Tootsie, or is it Tootsie Pop? Yeah, Tootsie Pop
Tootsie
Owl.
Pop, yeah.
But yeah, so I read that one night and then I went to sleep and I kept reading and I totally forgot about the owl. But like when I was reading it, I was like, what the fuck is that? Is it like a Harry Potter owl? Like, but why does it look so cute? But they do describe them later. And ultimately I do recommend it as a read because it is, even though I wasn't like super excited about it, I ended up really liking it and I'll probably keep reading it. Jace is his roommate. Jace is on the black masks and Aaron is on the white masks. And they keep talking about how they need to do their first hunt. The only thing they're hunting for? Never mind. I was gonna make an inappropriate joke.
Also, you gotta remember too is they're rooming together. So that's another thing that they seem to always keep the factions from each other. So usually if you're part of the white class and the black class of the bandanas,
masks.
Yeah, the masks, which are all different ethnic groups, by the way, just so everybody knows. Like just so
they are all inclusive.
Yeah, very very all inclusive. I mean, like the whole book is. But like the fact that they're even rooming together already shows that there's something amiss with what's going on, because it seems like from the storyline that the people who wear the black masks are few from many, and there's only a few left, and it seems like whoever the teacher is of that group of people seems to be struggling to keep her class of people there and keeping them relevant and the lineage of their secret society, which is basically what it is. It's basically a school and a secret society. So I mean, that part by itself, you're already going, okay, so they got this new kid. He's not even supposed to be in the same room with this other kid who seems to be the lifeline to maybe the black masks being successful, or the last chance, or one of the last chances from them to be successful. So it's a lot of stuff like that kind of going on. So it kind of gets you in this, all right, what's going on? What the storyline seems good. And then you have this backstory of some kind of hunt, like Mikey was talking about already. And then you have the little owl, which you're like, what is that about? Is that a stuffed owl? And the way it's drawn kind of looks like it's lit up, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's floating.
Like it's like, is this like a weird glow bug thing, or
a glowworm?
Yeah, glowworm. You know what I mean? Like, but like, and then you're also thinking to yourself, oh, is it like kind of like you were talking about, actually, technically, like Salem is for Sabrina? Is it because it keeps saying totem?
Yeah, so they're called totems, but it's basically a familiar.
Yeah, exactly. So you have that. So you're like, okay, and then the masks all have sharp teeth. So then you start to kind of wonder, is this a vampire thing? It kind of leaves it open for that. Are they monsters? Are they monsters hunting other monsters? Is that why they're there? Because their eyes don't look normal unless, like, when they have the masks on. It seems like they have like red eyes almost.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that because I've noticed that, and I don't, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I didn't see their eyes glowing as kids. Their eyes glow when they're adults. So I don't know if it's maybe like after they do their first hunt, it happens.
I think it's after that ritual, because like when they do that whole thing, like, what house do you like swear to, and will you be loyal to, and they do that whole like weird culty thing. I think that's kind of just like, now, I mean, you're in this now, like mind, soul, and body. So that's how I kind of got it. That now you have maybe not special powers, but this has a hold of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the weird thing about the totems, which are like the familiars, is usually like a familiar is like your guide if you're like a witch or whatever. But with the totems, it seems like they all live in a toy that you've had as a child, but what inhabits the totem is a spirit of or a monster that is wants to kill you, basically.
And that's where I start. I think that's where because I was like, oh, this is good. This is a good story. This is a good story. But then when that's kind of like revealed, I was like, oh shit. Like
Yeah,
this thing's only helping you because you have control of it in this vessel.
yeah,
And that's the only reason why it's trying to help you. And I was like, that's awesome to have like probably your closest, I guess, friend or ally in this weird world is only doing it because it has to. It doesn't want to do it. And if it has the chance, it's gonna fucking kill you, which you find out later when he slits the throats of all these like stuffed animals around the house and shit breaks shit goes nuts. So yeah, that's actually I think when I was like, this is the shit. I love that concept. That's so cool.
The reason why we're all here, the reason why we're all so invested is because our poor Jace has a nightmare. And at first he's like, you having a nightmare and you're talking to your backpack. I'm gonna open it. He's like, no, my totem's in there. He's like, whatever. Then he has another nightmare. And then he's like, are you okay? And Joe, please tell us what happens.
And then they go on their own special hunt for the capital D.
Yeah.
For demon.
Oh, never mind.
No, they definitely partake in some homosexual sex.
No, they don't. You're jumping ahead.
They haven't had sex yet?
No, Joe just wants to get right to it. No,
I know. They did some canoodling, Joe.
I know.
Foreplay be damned.
I know. Joe's
Did they
like,
just sleep together first? My bad. I'm sorry.
So,
ladies and gentlemen, we all know how Joe goes at it.
I know.
He goes right for the jugular.
Get down to business.
Do not expect any romance from this man.
Football game is going to start in 10 minutes. We got to get down.
Good thing I only need 2. But so he's having a nightmare and he goes to like reach out to like wake him, and then he grabs his wrist and he like pulls him in, and they end up just spooning. I like how Aaron is a little racially ambiguous. You don't really know, is he Mexican? Is he Indian?
I got black.
That's Jace.
That's what I got.
Well, for Aaron?
Yeah. No, with Aaron, I definitely got.
Really?
But you're right. Like if you would have told me like, oh no, he's Mexican, I'd be like, oh okay. Like it's not like I would be like, no, he's not racist.
No, I mean, like it could be a mixture thing. It could be like kind of like a Morales type deal where he's like half Spanish, half black.
Oh yeah. You know, I give you that. Yeah.
Like I mean that would be what I kind of got. Or I mean, actually the fact that Mikey brought up even Indian. I mean, honestly, that you don't get that a lot. So I mean, I would have been fine with that because I mean,
what wouldn't you have been fine with?
Everything.
Thanks, Lance, because what I said was kind of borderline.
I know, right? He'll cut yours out, but he won't cut mine out. That's how that will go. Like that will be the tagline for the show. Yeah. He'll be like, "What would you be?" I'm not gonna go. Boom, the chop.
The quote that made me laugh was when they find out that they've been romantic, because essentially the romance is very parallel in the story in regards to like actual what's going on in the school. They're both as equally as important because ultimately it's like why these characters are doing what they're doing in the current times, and why he's like so hateful and trying to kill him basically is because he leaves him in the middle of the night. Jace leaves Aaron in the middle of the night. And
Jace did tell him to come with him though. So Jace was like, bro, I'm about to take off. Come with
but
me.
I think that's
like, no, dog.
No, he didn't he say he showed up with his bags packed or whatever, and then they were gonna go together, but then he ended up just leaving in the middle of the night.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. I either that
might
or
have been it too.
Because he said that was their spot or whatever. Maybe he said, go, hey, meet me there, I think. And I think he was planning to do this where he was going to kill the house, but make sure that Aaron wasn't there. I think that was what it was. I think when he waited for him, and then he realized that Chase was doing something like he was like literally like, he's like, oh man, I think he's actually trying to murder my house.
Yeah.
You know, this is technically my family. Like
Mm-hmm.
the two females in my life that like are basically like my mom and my sister. He's about to murder because they're, you know, a house slaughter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously he has a hate for them.
So that leads me to my favorite quote is the head of their house walks in. She's like, "Oh, you're in his bed. I know what this means." He's like, "No, it doesn't." She's like, "You're in his bed. I know what this means again." And she's like, "Oh, you're both teenage boys. What was I expecting to happen?" I was like, "Not that." Like, could you imagine if that was the rule? Like, like I don't understand what that line is from. Like, for a while, that's the only reason why I could have only boys sleep over, because back before my parents knew anything, that's what you did. So that little line had me pause for a moment and be like, "What?"
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I
I didn't
Oh
even
man.
find that weird at all. I didn't. Yeah. But no, that does make
yeah,
sense.
it's like,
Duh.
okay, sure.
Me and Joe are like, hormones? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mikey's like,
Yeah, I was
wait a
like,
minute.
where did y'all grow up? Because um but overall, do you guys find if did this story or issue have any weaknesses? Was there any issues with pacing or anything like that y'all felt, or was it just a good time?
I thought it was a good time. Um, with the romance, you could have easily just put a dude and a chick or two chicks or anything. Like it didn't take over the story. It's a big part of the
Yeah.
story, but it didn't take over the story. And I didn't feel because one thing that pisses me off is like minority exploitation.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, look at this comic book, we have gay people in it,
Mm-hmm.
and they're the two main characters, and it's like, well, you should just have a comic book with gay people in it and not advertise it as that. So that's I'm really glad that that's not when the stuff started going down. I was like, oh, okay, all right, sweet. Was not expecting that, and I really like that. It's organic to the story. It isn't the entire story. Um, I did think it was a little convenient that they met in the woods and there was like camping people that just got
Oh,
attacked
the
like
monster.
right there next to where they were at. And it's like, that was a bit too convenient. But again, I haven't read further on. I don't know. Maybe that was set up by Jace. Um, but I did think it was cool that he was like starting his own underground like monster fighting society with all those people camping in the woods. Not the people that were attacked, but they had other people that knew what this world was about.
Yeah.
And Jace was setting up the resistance basically. But no, I didn't think it was like I said, I really liked the story. Really nothing wrong with it. The artwork is it's definitely unique, but it's not off-putting unique. It still looks like a comic book. People still look like people. And yeah, no, I definitely I give this one a how do we rate things?
Jalapenos.
How do we rate things?
4 out of 5 jalapenos.
5 chops to the chop.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it as well. The only thing I thought was a little bit, I don't know how you thought of it, which was it seemed like sometimes in the storyline, like with the box setup, was either it went across,
Yeah.
or then all of a sudden 2 pages in it went down
Mm-hmm.
and not across. So I was constantly trying to make sure I wasn't reading the wrong spot.
Yeah.
That would be my only like thing. I forgot about that. And then as I was rereading like the today, I was like, fuck, that's right. I fucking kind of hated that. I was
You
like,
have to pay really close attention because if the boxes go a little bit on the second page, that means to keep going lateral. But if it doesn't, then you go but there's times where it's like a little sliver cuts into the second place.
Yeah.
And it happened to be when they kept flashing back from the past to now. And so I was reading things out of order and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then when I flattened the book and I saw that there was a little bit, I was like, oh, now it makes sense. Because it even like connects the sentences between the different times. But I didn't think there was anything. Oh, and I'm Joe, I'm glad that you brought up that the family that gets killed because I feel like maybe that little girl might be coming back. That's just me though. I was like, they're focusing a lot on her at this time. The only weakness I thought it had is just it was a lot going on without giving us a strong foundation. So if you're someone that like wants to finish this first couple of issues and be like, I know what's going on, might not be the best story for you. But I don't think you need to read something as Killing the Children to really. I know it takes place in the same universe, but I was afraid that maybe like we'd be missing some stuff because we haven't read that one, or I only read the first couple of issues, but I don't think we're really missing anything. If anything, it might be
No.
like some Easter eggs. Um, but no, I think it was really good. I think like you said, Joe, we're just normalizing relationships of all kinds, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
Yeah.
ultimately just what we want. Like, and I mean, of course, gay people are better, but
And there he goes.
There it was.
There it is.
But no, it was good, and it's funny because there's like there's this trope in the gay community that it's like when it comes to stories or books or comics, when there is sexual situations, it's usually like, okay, we get it, like that's really intense and that's really explicit. But no, it was handled just like every other comic book, whereas like, oh, there's his butt cheek, which by the way, how do they get so built and they're not even working out? Whatever. Comic book rules, I guess. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I recommend it. I think it's great. Give it a listen. Do you guys have any closing remarks? But I think 4 out of 5 jalapenos or ham hocks or chops, whatever y'all said, is appropriate. 4 bottles of Astroglide in the woods out of 5.
Wow.
Coming from Mikey, that actually probably means a lot.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know how this. I'm not familiar with the scale, but yeah, 4 out of 5 easily. 4 out of 5, whatever's.
Yeah, perfect. But yeah, I think that wraps up this episode of House of Slaughter. I would highly recommend checking it out. It's probably not going to be available unless your comic book shop has back orders of stuff because it is a few years old. But it's doing pretty well, and they're still releasing stuff because when I go to my comic store every Wednesday, I think they just released like the 20-somethingth issue or whatever. I don't know. I saw it and I was like, well, that's really far ahead. But I do want to continue reading it, and who knows? Maybe we will. We'll have a season 2 of the comic shop where we read the second editions of things we read that we liked in the first season.
Even if you don't have any back issues, graphic novels are a really great way to go.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what everybody else got. I mean, I have the singles, but I also have the graphic novel. But
we get it.
Yeah.
I know.
But I would say go to Boom's website. I'm sure they have something right there where you can go and get it directly from them if you want to get something like that. Or Amazon. I mean, if you want to put your money towards them and do that stuff. I mean, I do that here and there, like we all do. But
first, check your local comic book store because
Always
someone will shame you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, 100%.
Yeah.
Just always go to your local place.
One of our first conversations we ever had. I was like, oh, look, Joe, I found these. He's like, well, I like to make sure I'm supporting local first.
You read it like that. I did not when I was texting it. That is not the tone I had. You read it in that tone.
I don't know. The middle finger emojis
conscience.
really set the tone for me. If you guys have read this, give us a comment. Let us know your thoughts. If you want us to read anything or go over anything specifically, comment that as well. You can find us at SlashersPod on Instagram, or Lance specifically at zombievshate. Me at horrorinahalfshell. You can follow Joe and his podcast at Much Ado About Nerding, but instead of spaces, there's underscores. Thanks, Selena, for that tip. And I don't know, you don't like revealing your personal one, do you, Joe?
Oh, my personal is on the podcast and stuff. But yeah, it's just Squints 1984.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Sorry, I'm a little off my game, but you know what? I'm on my period. So we'll be back in 2 weeks with something special. So until then, have a great time and go support your local comic book shop. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Okay.